Awesome. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I have my first in live interview, which means Instagram hopefully won't be weird. Oh, cool, just pinning the comment here. I am Tanner Albright. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Chi. I'm Shu Chi Gao. You can call me Chi. I'm a wolf with numbers. I deal with shadow work and trauma healing.
And we're here today to talk about shadow work and in what ways shadow work can be used to help you manifest, help you become a creator of your own reality, take control of your life. It's very powerful work, but it's also very, very intense work.
Yes. It is not comfortable.
No, it's a lot of sitting in awareness, which is very hard, especially for me, because this was something that we were getting ready before, and I literally just went to the bathroom, and as I was in the bathroom, I was like, completion process. Talk about completion process. And something that I realized that I have been doing with my shadow work has been this concept of once I am through with my shadow work, once I recognized a pattern and once I sat with it in awareness and brought it to light and really processed where I took a false narrative of where my energy was, how my energy was, it was received, given, any of that. I thought I was just done, and then it's like, nope, you got your whole life. It's gonna keep coming up. You're gonna keep repeating it.
It gets easier, but it takes some time. It takes the process of healing.
Like,
for sure.
For me right now, I'm feeling like the presence of the ego. I feel like I've worked through 99% of my ego work, and now it's like whenever I come within the energy of another ego, I get like mad that the ego exists, and I'm like, well, I already did this work. Why the hell do I have to help this person do their work? In the sense of like unwanted energetic exchanges of like cosmic or astral progress.
Yeah. Sometimes it's beneficial if you just separate all of your traumas and make boundaries of them, because we can work as a part of you, and sometimes it's much easier and less confusion and just work on that specific part and then heal that part first and then going on with others.
Yes, I completely agree. Do you want to kind of explain how you got into shadow work, why your path was not necessarily why you chose, because you're kind of like destined to do this, but how did you come to the fact of realizing your gift to shadow work, how you implement it, your story basically.
Yeah, so I was a very strange, depressed kid just growing up, and I dealt with a lot of suicidal thoughts. I was born in China, so a lot of pressure came from there, and I'm just a really sensitive empath, and like a lot of you guys here in the audience, probably, and I just thought life was so hard for me and everything is against me, and the universe just really, really hates me for like 10 something years until I reached when I was 19, 18. I had hit a wall, basically. I had my huge major depression, and I can't have the energy to heal or just get on with my life. I have to either do this work, I either have to face what I need to face, or I need to stop existing. It's definitely like a do or die for me, because I went through therapy, I went through antidepressants, I searched a lot of methods for my depression or my trauma, and it's not only just depression, I was also struggling with psychosis, with eating disorders and sleeping issues. It was a whole mess. But that shadow work is basically my last straw to heal myself. And basically I need to go deep to the my earliest traumas and my inner child, about what does it really want and what is their needs that haven't been met, and why is this happening to me. And after going through all of that, I realized you do have the power to heal yourself completely, and you always have a choice to face it. And if you don't, your traumas, I think everyone have like more or less some traumas. It can be very little, but it still affects your life.
Everybody got trauma.
Yeah.
Living in this
and
society.
Everybody got triggers.
True.
I know.
That's a whole other box we can unpack.
Yeah, and if you don't want your life to be so programmed to all the unconscious thinking, like unconscious thought, even consumer behavior, even just like judgment towards people, like it's just like I feel like my life, my old me my body is like a garbage can, and it just fills up, and I have nowhere to unpack. And shadow work basically allows me to dive deep into the garbage can and look what's in there. It could be scary, but it gets easier, I promise.
So when you were going through because when you were speaking, I had a massive download about my own experience with my shadow work, and I was flashed back into some of those moments where I had very suicidal, very dark thoughts, and I realized that there was always a voice telling me that I was worth it. It was a very subtle and small voice. And what's interesting with shadow work is now, another phrase that keeps coming up is from Tara Brach. She talked about this discovery in a Buddhist temple where I believe it was, I don't want to say it was a Buddha because it wasn't, it was another term that I cannot think of right now. I am blanking. A spiritual being that is like wise and compassionate, something E at the end, but trust the gold. They found a statue of this person, and they were covered in a bronze, and when they took the bronze off, they hid all the gold underneath. And what I realized was when I did my shadow work was that those seeds of hope was me in the future coming back and implementing those perspective shifts in that exact moment when I was experiencing it in the past.
Right.
So having that full circle moment for me was a very empowering, very empowering stance of creating my reality, because it's like it was destined.
Yes.
Quite literally.
Yes. Everything happens for a reason. Yeah. When you come out of it years later, you're gonna love that experience. Like, you know, it's the divine order. But yeah, for sure, shadow work doesn't have to be so dense, and it can be, because shadow doesn't necessarily means it's negative, it's bad. It's only the aspect of you that you're not aware of right now. And getting to know more of those aspects, it's like getting a whole new picture, getting all the puzzle pieces of yourself. So it's a really exciting process, and that's why I'm so drawn to it. And I find huge gold and power doing this work. Yeah.
There was one thing that I was thinking of as you were speaking, but now, of course, it blanks. By the way, if anyone has any questions about shadow
please.
work, drop it down below. What was I thinking of? I don't know. Okay, do you want to kind of go into... I mean, I see like the gold lines and such here, but do we want to go into some of the methods that you use for shadow work?
Yeah,
and what you
sure.
can... Oh, what I was thinking was that the easiest way to spot where you need to work on your shadows is what you do not like in other people, because that is a direct reflection of what you don't like inside yourself. And that was a very pinnacle part for my transformation as well, and my journey was shifting out of this judgmental mentality that was portrayed to me from living in a small town, not having a lot of trust in my relationships overall, not just partner relationships, and also from like the queer community. There was a lot of judgment that was stemming from there that was just unconscious behavior that I just picked up. That was a massive transformation for me. So if you see where you don't like other people, or like you have like a checklist, go through that checklist with yourself.
Yes.
See if something resonates. You don't need to check off every single thing off your checklist, but every here and there, go back to the checklist and be like, is there something that I'm seeing in this checklist that I actually don't like about myself? And bringing that into awareness and seeing where you can shift into a perspective of unconditional love at the end of the day. I mean, there's a lot more steps to go in to that, which is what she is here for. So if you kind of want to go into some of those concepts and methods that people can use.
And one thing I will add is it can also be some aspect that you love about other people, but you don't see it in yourself. It can be you're so attracted to this one person and he or she has all this aspect, but you don't see it as yourself having it. That can also be shadow work, because it is positive, but it is some aspect that you just you know you have it.
It's still stemming in lack of worth.
Yeah, it's you have it, but you don't see it. So some of the methods of shadow work, it can be very broad. One thing that's important is parts work. It basically stems from the Gestalt philosophy that we all have different parts of the psyche, and all of our consciousness have its own individual will or wants and needs and desires. So whenever a trauma happens, we kind of split in half, or even more than half. That all of our consciousness wants different things now, because, for example, if your dad left you when you're a kid, and one part is like, no, fuck that, and one part would be like, no, I want dad to be here. So those two aspects, like the part of that who said, fuck that, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be alright, is the part that made you survive in your situation. But the part that wants that is being suppressed to live on with your life. That's trauma served us at some point, but not necessarily serve us now. So going to those different aspects, different parts of yourself really gives you an understanding of how the trauma happened and why you are doing these things, and what is your perspective about the vulnerable part of yourself. What do you actually need? And start really meeting those needs directly, and really have built a relationship with your inner child, with your inner self, with all of the parts of yourself, and create a union.
So how, hypothetically, new to parts work, new to accepting the fact that I have shadow work to do, how do I start to get comfortable with the idea that I may have been giving my energy to a perspective that does not serve me. Meaning, like you were saying, like, fuck you, Dad, for not being here, but also I need my father to be here. Yeah. How can we get comfortable with owning the fact that we resent our father but also love him?
Good question. It's like, if you ever felt like there are inner conflict happening, it might not be particularly about your dad. Maybe it's someone entirely new just in your life, and you feel triggered because it reminds you of something, but you're not quite sure what. And just, I would recommend pay attention to your dreams, because that reveals a big unconscious part of your subconscious see. Sometimes, because when I was doing this work, I will have dreams about a lot of fears, insecurities just surfacing up that I have to look at them. And also pay attention to whatever emotion arises. Whenever there's a trigger, it always, your body is naturally being triggered because it wants you to look at the shadow work. It wants you to look at those memories that you kind of suppressed and forgotten about. Not until you actually take a look and really think about what happened there, and just look for signs, look for guidance, and look for your own intuition to tell you what really happened there. Why did I end up doing this and that? And ask yourself questions about what is your need? What does the different parts of you need? If the part that said fuck that does not want resolution right now, it's okay. It's a process. Like, healing takes a lot of time, and sometimes we don't allow ourselves to do that, but it's definitely necessary to accept and approve of yourselves and emotions, and just validate yourself that maybe right now it's not the perfect timing for that.
I know that is something that I struggle with, is that with my Aries sun, Virgo moon, and Pisces rising, it's like, you have all the answers, why are you waiting? Come on, let's go. Let's pick it up. Let's pick up the pace. Penny doesn't like the healing energy. She's still resistant. Come here. Come here. Anyway, she will stop. But yeah, I was stuck in a completion process, and I was healing a part of my sexuality the other day, and I remember I was sitting in, so in my hometown there's a mall, and obviously there's a mall. It's America. We have a mall. We have malls everywhere. And inside the mall was an eye doctor, and weird place for an eye doctor. And I was picking out glasses, and I, at the age of 8, was consciously aware of when I needed to be masculine and when I could be feminine, when I could embrace that femininity, and when I chose to be masculine. And when I went back to that exact moment, I was with my father, and I remember thinking, I need to portray this masculine figure that my dad portrays, because everyone around me says that I look like my dad. I am my dad. I'm going to be like my dad. And going back and healing that and saying that, okay, I did believe that. And that's not something that's bad. There's parts of my dad that I love and I enjoy so much and I want to embody. There's also parts of my dad that I necessarily don't resonate with, and that's okay. You know, we're all individuals, and separating not separating, bringing awareness to a collective idea of who you are also brings another level of awareness of what your soul resonates with and what you're being told you should resonate with.
Right.
And that's something with shadow work that will come with time. But it was a very intense vision in the meditation, and it really took me back to the point where I smelled the air that was in the store, and I remember the walls, and I remember the counters with the computers, and thinking that is a weird little setup.
Right.
And it was so interesting.
Yeah, I definitely have those memories too. I think we definitely tend to fall in the trap of wanting to change our parents or caregivers, because once we know all the healing, once we know, that's where it all started, that's where our trauma happened, and we tend to blame them for the trauma that we had.
Yeah.
I just want to say, nobody can change another person. We can only change ourselves, and even that is not an easy process.
That's enough of the process for anyone,
Right.
let alone take on the responsibility of shifting other people into other paradigms.
Yeah.
Doing the astral work is beautiful.
Yes.
Uploading that to the collective consciousness so the formula is already there for them is beautiful.
Yes.
Embodying their energy is something that's completely different, which you were speaking on before about empaths. So many of us are empaths. Everyone is literally an empath, and we are denying this fact that we can feel other people's energy. I mean, we're feeling it collectively right now, more theoretically more now than ever because of the digital age and how accessible everything is. But understanding that your trauma is not necessarily the collective's trauma, and resonating in where when you do the most internal work with your shadows, you can upgrade the collective consciousness by tenfold, quicker than you could ever do before.
Yes. It's the most easiest way to change the world, is to change yourself.
This goes into, I had this massive download about white queer men and how they are, by them not doing, they're basically bypassing 5D consciousness by still enabling these ideas of labels and separation and this internal hierarchy within a community, that the queer community cannot progress to the embodiment that they were sent here to be because of this one sector of the queer community. I believe that queer people were sent here to quite literally shake the hierarchy that existed within the normal society of heteronormativity. And I believe that queer people came here to shake it. But what happened is that these queer white men benefit quite a bit in their privileged, I don't want to say embodiment. I mean, yeah, it is embodiment, but also just easy privilege, basically. They can be this is going to be PC police at me. You can be a minority, but also receive the privilege of the majority, which is what a lot of these white queer men are doing. And when I view that from a shadow work perspective, it's all your work. It's all their work that they have to do, that they're not doing, and that they're relying on the collective to do for them. And that's not how we do things. That's not how we progress. That's not how we ascend. That's not how we fully embody love and unification. And that's what's truly missing from the queer community, in my perspective, is that full unification. full unification, not unification of the ego, full unification of entirety of everyone, no matter who you are.
Yes.
Sorry, I just had to get that out. I've been holding that in for so long.
Said.
I've been holding on for that for so long. I'm getting angry about it too sometimes. Just because I like see it and then I see what's happening in the world. And the queer community could be such a powerful, like a powerhouse of energy.
Yes.
Of pure, creative, loving energy. But we're not doing our own work. We're not doing our own work. And what are we even here then for? What are we here for?
We shadow workers just see the light in the shadows, and we just want to get it out. We just want the gold to be found, and we want all the things.
Yes. Also, this is not calling out. This is calling up. We're calling up people to embrace their shadow work, to embrace that they have judgment, they hold resentment, they hold separation inside of them, and owning that. Once we own that and embody that and hold awareness for it and hold space for it to exist and not try to change it instantaneously, because then we're operating from a good versus bad perspective. This is a good value to hold, this is a bad value to hold, I shouldn't be doing this, I should be doing that. Shouldn't doesn't exist. I'm gonna go into a whole other spiral. But just accepting that we all have shadows, no matter where we're at in this process, and understanding that every single day a new shadow is going to arise, and the way that we position ourselves to embracing the shadow is what will make our society a loving, compassionate society, or a place full of separation. And honestly, like red versus blue right now, we're seeing it manifested, is that we are so focused on separation that we're not even seeing each other as human beings. We see each other as a color. And with that color brings all of these biases and stereotypes. And through that, we are only fueling the lack matrix. I know I'm going into so many things, so you just gotta cut in.
No, it's definitely necessary to be said, because the purpose of shadow work is ultimately integration, and it is unification, because we are separated within our one self. That's why it is needed to integrate all the different parts that we are not necessarily aware of, and find something that is a yes for all of them. You go towards something, if you go towards something that you feel passionate about, make sure all of the parts are agreed on that thing. Then you're unstoppable. Then you're integrated. You're in unification. And same with the society.
I think that's needed literally more now than ever.
Yes.
Especially with everything that's happening collectively, and seeing the visceral pain of just existence at this point is hard as an empath to even witness. And the integration of it is on both parts needed. She agrees. Come here. Okay. Okay, so what other methods can people, I know we just got on like a massive tangent, but what other methods can people use for shadow work? Hi. And how can they embrace their shadows through these methods?
Yeah, so I do a little trick for myself, because I'm clairvoyant and I have a lot of visions happening when I go meditating. So I would just visualize I think first step would be let go of any expectations, let go, have a still moment with yourself, and I will go into this flow state of visualization, or if you're artist, it can be during a creating art, a creation process, when you're fully let go of where is this going, and any thoughts about the process. When you're in that flow state, your energy is like so focused, and you just do whatever that you're not even aware of. I think that is a huge point to do shadow work, even because you're inviting a different part of you, a part that you might not necessarily familiar with, to like step in, to like be out and present itself. Maybe if you're upset about something, going with what we said, if you're upset with what's happening right now, just if you're feeling strong about it, go in, like, and find the part that you're upset about, and really find where is that coming from. If I had a part, for example, if I really hate Trump and I feel strong emotion towards it, I feel hate, I feel mad, I feel fearful, I feel just injustice, whatever, and I find the part of myself which is Trump, and I will just hear. I have no judgment, I have no expectations, and I will just hear that part, what it says. It might be a female, a male, it might not even be a human, I don't know. I will just listen to it. I will make attention, undivided, unconditional attention to that part of me who is Trump, and hear what it has to say.
I fully agree with that. That was something that has been so powerful for me to do in those moments of pure frustration and anger, going within and seeing where I have been triggered like that before, because honestly it is a energetic thing as well. So like you're just picking up on the same frequency as you have prior, so you're triggered, which means that you are being brought into that moment, the exact same moment that you felt it before. You're feeling those same exact emotions, and when we don't go back and treat these triggers, we stack them, and then as soon as we start stacking, the root gets so buried by the egoic layers of how this person made me feel, how this happened, that we get lost in the sauce.
Yes.
And when we go back to the trigger and we see the root of it, and we instantly transmute that energy into loving compassion and kindness to ourselves, we can extend it to other people. I feel like this may be skewed by the ego, what I'm saying, from that I am bypassing actions that Trump has done, which is not true. He is still a human being that is being held accountable on a moral and ethical level. But who are you to put your anger in someone else's hands? Why do you feel a need to bypass your own healing to express your anger at someone else, is what we're getting at.
Yeah.
And at the root of it, you are the only person in control of your own healing. Literally. Like, no one else will quite literally do it for you.
You have the full power.
Hell yes. You do, and that's trusting the goal. That's trusting that you have, at the core of your being, you have a light source that wants you to thrive and wants you to be in, honestly, just a happy place, and that you're not suffering and that you're thriving. Yeah, I lost my train of thought.
That was beautiful. Yeah, great example about the stacking the layers, because the original trauma is not going anywhere until you look at it. So you can be caught up in all of your situations in life and not knowing where it's coming from. But if you find the deep-rooted, the first trauma that you had, it could be a lot earlier than you think. It could be like when you don't even think you have memory, like when you're in a room. Anyway, I lost my train of thought too. It can be the triggers that reminding you of something. You don't have to go that deep instantly, because if something triggers you, go back to the thing that you felt last time. Like, when's the last time that I felt this way? When's the first time that I felt this way? And just really become more and more conscious and mindful about how you feel during the day. Put your emotions first. I think that is the key of shadow work and healing, and really transform yourself to the fullest potential.
And I see in your notes that it doesn't have to be dense all the time.
Yes.
But does need some time to heal completely. These emotions aren't something that is in a high vibrational state, because we need something to lock us into this physical world, and that is lower vibrational emotions that we feel. With that, we can either allow those low vibrational emotions to pull us into a low vibrational mindset, or we can allow the low vibrational emotions to be guides for healing and to be guides for where we want to be and where we don't want to be, where we feel the best, where we feel like ourselves, and where we feel like our ego has taken over and that we are being controlled by an outside source. Because a lot of the shadow work, you'll come to realize that so many of your emotions aren't even your own. You've picked these up from other people and from what society tells you to feel. And they do that because they are in the lower vibrational mindset of emotions and feeling the emotions and embodying those emotions only. I don't want to say now you can walk outside and talk to someone, and like 3 years ago you could walk outside and ask someone how they're feeling, and 8 out of 10 people would most likely say they were in a bad mood. That is the physical embodiment of them embodying those lower vibrational emotions, most likely based on what society has told them to feel, how they're processing their emotions. And now, because of everyone being thrown into quarantine, having to face their truth of who they are, now I feel like I could go up to 3 out of 10 people, and those 3 people that I go up to would be in a quote-unquote negative mood. I feel like now we have shifted paradigms and timelines into a higher vibrational state of being, which is more motivated, more actionable. Actions are great when the intention is correct and when the intention is followed through with passion. So if you're concerned with doing actions before you process your emotions, you may be re-traumatizing yourself and causing yourself more shadow work to process through later on in your life. So something to bring awareness to is to make sure that you are acting out of passion and passion through intention. So how are some ways that people can find what they're passionate about? I know you discussed it a little bit. Say, for my work and my clients, I have them go through their values and morals, and what we do is that we restructure their mindset strictly from their morals and values. So what I do is I take their list of values, and as they're speaking, I am seeing where their values are lining up in their sentences. So if they do not embody accountability, if they're trying to push off accountability to someone else, if they're not trusting someone and one of their key values is trust, I will call that up and be like, hey, you say you're for this, why is this not being presented here? So basically calling people up is my tactic. I have a authentically no bullshit kind of role for my clients. What are some tactics that you use to help your clients find those moments of passion that gives them motivation to take inspired action?
I guide them through a meditation to
beautiful.
the most joyful, most passionate, exciting childhood memory. Because in my own journey, I forgot a lot of my happy memories. I just simply suppressed my happy memories because I'm like so focused in my sad, emo, depression stuff. So in my own journey, it really helped me to find a lot about my actual childhood joy, like writing, like music. And so I was very inspired to give my client this meditation to really help them realize what is the first original, what is the true passion that you embody when you're a kid. And society, your parents, your caretakers, your friends might shut it down. Might told you, no, that's not gonna work, that's not you, and somehow you gaslighted yourself basically, and you forgot about that. You don't fully remember, oh, that is my passion. So that is one of my method. And yeah, I also really recommend, even if you're not an artist, you can use art to discover more parts about yourself. Like doing an automatic writing, doing an automatic drawing.
If you are struggling with creative resistance and you want like a quick little guide to set up your environment, so this step-by-step process is like 4 guided step process that I have, and the link in my bio, which is Overcoming Creative Resistance, like an easy guide. It's more ego-based, based on the sense that it's more external rather than internal. So if you're having trouble diving into the internal, make sure you check out that guide, because it will help you get comfortable in the state that you're in. You're not trying to, with this guide, you're not trying to transform yourself into someone else. You're embodying the version that you are now. You're just making yourself comfortable to open different doors. So if you're interested in that, feel free to click the link in my bio and go to the Overcoming Creative Resistance guide. That has helped so many people get over their imposter syndrome, basically, of allowing themselves to expand into who they actually are. I see that we're like 10 minutes out or so. Is there anything specific that you would like to discuss for the last few minutes? And whether that's stuff that you have to offer, things that you find important for people to know. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
If anyone have a question, feel free to ask both of us. And if you're ready, if you're so fed up about your traumas, if you're so ready to just change and transform your life, every one of us wants to live out our fullest potential, our highest selves. It is not necessarily an easy work, but I try to make this process as easy as possible, as free flowing as possible. You don't have to be scared of your shadows. I think that is my biggest takeaway from my own journey, is once you're over the other side, you'll be so grateful for you taking the actions, taking the step to like really love yourself, love all parts of yourself. If you're ready, you can find me at Wolf with Numbers, and you can book a 20-minute complimentary reading with me. We'll go through your numerology chart, and oh yeah, that is one of my passion trick. I do numerology, and we'll discuss your experience and if that resonates with you.
I love that. If you are interested in my work, I am mostly focused around implementing a feminine structure to my clients. So we're more focused on a step-by-step kind of, I don't want to say completion mindset, because that's not what it is. It is a full embodiment checklist of making sure that you are fully embodied as yourself and not allowing other perspectives to dictate who you are. So if you are interested in becoming a creator of your own reality, if you are interested in taking full reins of your life with a fiery fucking passion, then shoot me a DM, schedule a free 30-minute call with me. We can go over where you may have creation resistance. Other than that, I feel like Chi would be the best bet for you. I feel like you definitely have like more compassion than me. I'm like more of like my Aries is like, there's no bullshit. I don't give a fuck what just happened. This is what we're gonna do about it. Very, what was the term that I used before? Unapologetic, authentic, compassion.
No bullshit.
Yeah. Authentically calling out the bullshit. That's the vibe. If you want to reach me, I'm at Tanner Albright on Instagram. My website is tanneralbright.com. You can check it out. I have my own personal work, photographer/painter on that. Other than that, I have a program as well that you can get called Transform Your Creative Resistance, as well as that free guide that is Overcoming Your Creative Resistance. The Overcoming Your Creative Resistance is a free PDF download, so just feel free to do that. And then if you're interested in more, you can do the Transform Your Creative Resistance, or we can start one-on-one counseling, which would be pretty cool. Where can they find you?
I can be found at wolfwithnumbers.com. That's my website, and you can also find me at wolfwithnumbers at Instagram. Blank for a second. I'm also Wolf Without Teeth. That's my personal brand.
True.
I do paintings as well. I do music. I'm a DJ, producer, and I do numerology. So if you're interested in numerology, you can sign up for my email. I do forecasts for the rest of the year, and I try to do every month, but I'm working on that. And I do offer a program of healing trauma and transforming your life. It's a 6-month program. If you're interested, you can book a 20-minute session with me to talk about if you're a fit, what are your needs, and how can I serve you. Yeah, and I also offer one-on-one sessions as well, just separately.
Beautiful. Awesome. So if anyone doesn't have any questions, we're gonna head off. We have friends that are about to come over. The universe literally just aligned all of this within the last hour.
Yeah.
Multidisciplinary artistry.
Yes, love that word.
Yes. Okay, cool. We're gonna head off. Enjoy the days.
Peace. Lots of wholeness and love.
Yes. Bye.